Under the clear sky, the earth shook, the group of horses galloped fast, and the smoke billowed. Headed by two extraordinary scaled horses, the burly Lian Rufing sat on one of the scaled horses, and beside him was a thin old man wearing a brocade robe with 3 strands of goatee. This old man is dressed in gorgeous clothes and has an arrogant demeanor, obviously not comparable to the mountain people in the back country. Behind Lian Rufing and the old man, there were a group of guards, about a dozen people, some of them from Fian village, and some of them belonged to the old man in Jini. Elder Wu, in just over an hour, we can arrive at Fian village. Lian Rufing opened his mouth with a smile, and there was a hint of awe and flattery in his expression. This Elder Wu's name is Wu Henshui, and he is the chief deacon of the Kinyan tribe's Wu's pharmacy. Even in the Kinyan tribe where merchants gathered, Wu Henshui's name was extremely loud, and he could be regarded as a big man in the Kinyan tribe. Over the years, Lian Rufing and a group of guards escorted the goods and went to the Kinyan tribe to exchange living materials. The object of the transaction was Wu's medicine store. And through Wu Henshui's relationship, Lian Rufing successfully sent his son Lianf to Donglin city for cultivation. For Lian Rufing, this Wu Henshui is a master with hands and eyes, and there is no room for him not to respect him. Wu Henshui nodded indifferently and suddenly asked, "Have you heard of blood marrow sand?" Lian Rufing was stunned, said, "Is this the name of a blind herb?" In a word, Lian Rufing's ignorance was exposed. Wu Henshui glanced at Lian Rufing with a slight contempt, and shook his head secretly. The mountain people who came out of the back country are indeed extremely vulgar and ignorant. Although Lian Rufing was vulgar, but his eyesight was still there, he immediately knew that he was embarrassed, and said, "I don't know what Elder Wu meant when he mentioned this." Wu Henshui thought about it and said, "It's okay to tell you, I heard that there is a long-abandoned fire copper mine near your village." Lian Rufing nodded and said, "Exactly." Wu Henshui said, "Then you know, generally speaking, as long as there is a place with fian and fire copper, it will inevitably attract red-blooded bats to build their nests." Lian Rufing nodded again and flattered, "Elder Wu is indeed well informed. I remember that there are indeed red-blooded bats in the abandoned mine tunnel. At first, because I was worried that entering it would be dangerous, I always regarded it as a forbidden area. You reminded me, I almost forgot about it." Wu Henshui stroked the goatee and said proudly, "It's a coincidence that I came here. The old man accidentally flipped through an ancient book a while ago, and it was recorded that there must be blood marrow sand in the place where the red-blooded bats haunt. This is a kind of value, a very high spiritual material. Just one piece can be exchanged for 10 copper coins." Lian Rufing immediately flattered like a tide, "Elder Wu's eyes are like torches, and it is really not comparable to vulgar people like me, but what is the magical effect of blood marrow sand?" Wu Henshui was proud of himself, and didn't mind giving pointers. "This thing is very precious, it can refine the blood marrow and improve the physique. If it can be used for cultivation, it can at least give cultivators 20% more when they break through the 5th realm of true martial arts." Hope. Lian Rufing was shocked, so miraculous. His current cultivation base is stuck in the 4th layer of Zenwu, and he has been unable to break through. And this blood marrow sand can actually quench blood marrow. One can imagine how Lian Rufing's heart shook. Wu Henshui looked at Lian Rufing with a little playfulness and said, You still lack too much knowledge." Lian Rufing hurriedly said, "Elder Wu, is the purpose of your visit this time just for this blood marrow sand?" Wu Henshui nodded and said, "This is just one of them. On the other hand, it is for the Lingshan near Fian village." Lian Rufing said with a smile, "Don't worry about this, I have planned for a long time, and I promise to complete this task." Yes, this is Lian Rufing's plan to help Wu Henshui occupy the Lingshan of Fian village. In this way, Lian Rufing and his party can rely on this credit to take root in the Kinyan tribe in one fell swoop, and in the future, relying on Wu Henshui's relationship, they can even enter the East Lin city and create a world. As for whether the villagers in Feian village objected, Lian Rufing didn't care at all. How could he care so much for his future cultivation? What about just objection? The big deal is to kill them all. Just a group of ordinary people, what's the difference between them and ants? Wu Henshui said indifferently. This is the best way. When these spiritual fields are planted with spiritual medicine, the wealth you will earn will only be more, and you will definitely be a part of it. Lian Rufing was overjoyed. Then I would like to thank Elder Wu for cultivating it. Conversing like this, soon, a piece of spiritual field appeared in the field of vision, and the outline of the village could be seen in the distance. At this time, linga seedlings were planted in the lingshan, green, like green satin, covering the ground, pleasing to the eye. Arrive. Lian Rufing looked at the familiar villages and spiritual fields, but his heart was extremely fiery. As long as today's things are completed, why can't he make great plans in the future? Behind him, the guards couldn't hide their excitement. What a waste. Such a good spiritual field is actually planted with a spiritual valley. Isn't this a waste of such a place? Wu Henshui swept his gaze, looked at the linga seedling in the spiritual field, and couldn't help shaking his head and sighing. Lian Rufing was stunned and said, Elder Wu, is Lingshan good or bad? Wu Henshui glanced at him disdainfully and said, how much land is there in these 3,000 mountains? How many can be cultivated into spiritual fields? He pointed to the spiritual field in the distance and said, look, under each spiritual field, there must be traces of spiritual veins hidden, otherwise, how could such rich soil be born? You hillbillies, really no vulgarity. Being scolded as a country bumpkin, even though Lian Rufing was full of anger in his heart, he said with an apologetic smile on his face, Elder Wu is right, we are indeed ignorant. Wu Henshui snorted coldly and said, how do you plan to arrange the residents of your village? Lian Rufing gritted his teeth, and said, if they are willing to help you plant spiritual medicine, then it is easy to say, if not, just kill them. Wu Henshui nodded. It's better to leave them alive. Planting and harvesting elixir requires a lot of manpower. I don't want to buy another batch of slaves to help. Lian Rufing nodded quickly and said, what Elder Wu said is very true. Wu Henshui stopped talking nonsense and said, let's go and take a look at the village. At the moment, the group of people rode towards Feian village in the distance, roaring away, aggressive, and they didn't hide it at all, appearing extremely arrogant. Think about it, for them, the people living in Feian village are just a group of poor country bumpkins, who do not practice cultivation and are shallow and ignorant. There is no need for any tricks to deal with such people. Wu Henshui thought so, even Rufing thought so, and so did the guards behind them. However, what they didn't expect was that after a few months, Feian village has indeed become different from the past. Just as the group of them arrived at the entrance of the village, a sharp and piercing howling sounded from a distance, whimpering and swooning. Not good. There is an ambush. Wu Henshui's face changed slightly, and he stopped. Lian Rufing felt a chill in his heart. His body was horrified, and he almost subconsciously drove his horse to dodge. Boom! A sharp black light swept across Lian Rufing's shoulders dangerously, and slammed into the chest of a guard behind him, blood spurting out. It was an arrow, incredibly fast. If Lian Rufing evaded in time, this blow alone would have killed him. Lian Rufing was drenched in cold sweat, but before he could react, the arrow that had been inserted into the chest of the rear guard suddenly exploded. Boom! Like a thunderbolt, the body of the guard was blown to pieces, blood splashed all around, and all the guards in the vicinity were startled and dodged, turning their heads on their backs. Damn! Is this your plan these days? Seeing this, Wu Henshui was frightened and angry, but he kept his composure. Elder Wu, calm down. Lian Rufing gritted his teeth. His eyes were full of fierceness. He pulled out a long knife with a loud clang, and shouted, don't panic, everyone, prepare to fight. Before the sound fell, the familiar whistle sounded again, and an arrow shot from the village like a meteor from the sky. Boom! Another guard didn't even have time to dodge. The whole person and the horse under his crotch burst into pieces, blood and flesh flying. Just 2 arrows took the lives of 2 guards in an instant. All of a sudden, those guards panicked, abandoned the horses under their crotch, and avoided them far away. Up to this point, they had not been able to locate the enemy's trail, and could only roughly judge that the arrow was shot from the village. Lian Roofing could naturally see this. He was really shocked and angry, and his face was ashen. When was there an archer who was proficient in bows and arrows hidden in the village? An archer who can kill a cultivator is definitely not something that ordinary people can do. Could it be Lingzon's little bastard? No, I've already sent Luting and Gianqi to sit in the village. I'm afraid that kid is already useless now. Wait, no. Suddenly, Lian Roofing remembered something. What about Luting and Gianqi? Bastard, don't hurry into the village. Don't you think it's like staying here as a living target? Wu Henshui has extremely rich fighting experience, and naturally knows that on this flat ground, there is no stopping him, and his figure is directly exposed to the eyes of the enemy, which is extremely dangerous. However, Wu Henshui would not rush into the village rashly. Who knows how many masters are hidden in it? Lian Roofing woke up suddenly and shouted loudly, "Brothers, rush with me and kill that damn archer." In the roar, his figure was like a tiger and a leopard raiding, twisting forward, quickly approaching the village. Behind him, although the guards were panicked, they also knew that if the archer could not be dealt with, they would only stay here and be shot as a living target. At the moment, they all bit the bullet and rushed over with Lian Roofing. It's just that when they started to act, the familiar scream sounded again, whimpering and sobbing, like a sound of life from hell.